In recent times, elections in Zambia have been marred with political violence and regional voting. This worried the president, and he moved to establish a commission of inquiry to look at voting patterns and electoral violence from 2006 to 2016. However, this commission has come under fire from different stakeholders, some saying it's a mere academic exercise and will not yield any tangible results. On this week's edition of News in Depth, we look at factors that led to the establishment of this commission of inquiry, its mandate, as well as concerns from stakeholders. I'm your host, Masauso Mukwayaya. Join me as I look at this issue in depth. Zambia is one of the few countries in the world with an enviable record of democracy. The multi-ethnic landlocked country has for a number of years received glowing credit from world over for upholding this social science that places responsibility of running the nation's affairs on the people, by the people, and for the people themselves. This is done through elected public officials who are essentially expected to run for office after every 5 years. Despite the many gains associated with democracy, the ideology in Zambia has not been without challenges. Perhaps what is of immediate concern for now among many people in Zambia is the recent and growing number of cases of political violence and regional voting patterns, especially during elections. The last general elections held in 2016 is not an exception of political malpractice. Proponents and observers of democracy rated the 2016 general elections as the most violent and regionally inclined elections in recent years. President Edgar Lungu was well aware of the levels of violence and regional voting that occurred during the 2016 elections. As a measure to show commitment to deal with this imminent social time bomb, the president announced the establishment of a commission of inquiry into voting patterns and electoral violence. The announcement was made on his inauguration day, where he was sworn in as Zambia's 6th president.
I will be appointing an inquiry to establish the cause and perpetrators of the post-election violence so that the nation can learn from such vices, and whoever deserves booking will be booked accordingly. As a responsible government, we cannot look away when organized violence is deployed against some sections of our people.
A few weeks later, on October 21st, 2016, President Lungu appointed a 15-member commission of inquiry into voting patterns and electoral violence.
From the 25th.
The commission was consequently sworn in on 28th October 2016 by Chief Justice Irene Mambidima.
In his wisdom, the president decided that he should constitute the commission. One, to find out the pattern of voting. Who actually is, how did people vote in a certain way? Who influenced them? Any participation of chiefs in this exercise, political parties and the other players?
The mandate of the commission is to inquire into the voting patterns in the general elections conducted from 2006 to 2016 and the electoral violence that characterized the 2016 general elections. According to one of the commission's terms of reference, the team will be required to come up with recommendations that will prevent the occurrence of violence in future elections and ensure that voting outcomes are reflective of the people's free will. The Zambia Civic Education Association have their own reservations at the establishment of the commission.
The parameters by which it was set, when I read the terms of reference, it was talking about who caused the violence. And we all know who caused the violence. And then it was also talking about the voting patterns. Why were the voting patterns, done? Why was the outcome of the elections reflecting a voting pattern that reflected that some block voting, which the assumption was it's based on ethnic bloc voting from some areas. And also it was tied very much to the 2016 elections. So in my opinion, the commission was not necessary. It was an exercise in futility, because we all knew who caused the violence.
But SACOD says it supports the establishment of the commission because of the increasing levels of political violence.
As SACOD, we want to state that we did support the Commission of Inquiry on Political Violence and Voting Patterns in our country, for a simple fact that political violence has, over the years, been on the increase in Zambia, not only in terms of the frequency, but also in terms of the weaponry that is used to actually undertake this scourge in our country. So we believe that it was important to understand the root causes of political violence and actually have that documented into organized knowledge, but also perhaps have an understanding of some of the factors that may be influencing certain voting patterns.
Meanwhile, Chris Zimba, a Lusaka-based political analyst, notes that Zambia is a sovereign state practicing participatory and consultative democracy, adding that its leaders retain every right to consult the people on matters affecting the nation.
The pattern of political violence was very historical. In 2016, we have never had a situation where the Zambian citizens, after an election, witnessed some form of arson, where some citizens burned down the houses of other fellow citizens in some places. In 2016, that was noted and reported in some districts where property of certain Zambians were burnt down by fellow Zambians on the basis that they were voted for a different political party or candidate, or on the basis that they belonged maybe to some different ethnic grouping. So it was very historical, and I believe that it became politically necessary to identify the root causes.
And Commission Vice Chairperson Mavis Chisanga has urged people not to prejudge the Commission's work.
Give this Commission of Inquiry chance to finish doing its work, and do not prejudge us on the quality of the work that we are going to present at the end of the day. We are still remaining with 3 provinces and a half. So once we are done with our work, a report will be presented. And I'm sure it will be public knowledge, because the report won't be presented in secret.
But SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe has advised the Commission to develop thick skin and accommodate criticism, including that coming from people opposing its existence.
You will always have people that will have different views on a particular matter. And in this particular instance, the Commission of Inquiry on Political Violence and Voting Patterns, some will approve of such a Commission of Inquiry, some may disapprove of such a Commission of Inquiry. What is important from a SACOD point of view is to ensure that we respect all views that may be brought forward, because as a democracy, it is important to allow people to express themselves freely. What matters is to take their views on board, listen, and ensure that coexistence is allowed to prevail at the end of the day, even if opinions do not agree.
The Commission's first assignment was in Lusaka district. From there, the team moved to some parts of Lusaka before heading to the Copperbelt and Northwestern provinces. After a short break, the Commission undertook its tour of duty in Luapula, Northern, Muchinga, and Eastern provinces. The Commission started its Luapula province tour of duty with a courtesy call on the Provincial Permanent Secretary, Bulletin Semukila, in Mansa. Here, the Commission Chairperson, Justice Munalula Simba, expressed concern over some politicians who are fond of taking advantage of the vulnerability of unemployed young people during election campaigns.
We've seen that there is a problem of manipulation by the politicians. They manipulate, without exception. they do manipulate the vulnerability of the youth. They are unemployed and so on. You see, so it's very, very, very vital that we have politicians, political parties participate, and to see why certain people have taken advantage of the youth. So it's very, very vital that we sensitize the people, we sensitize the youth to come forward and to participate.
And Luapula Province Permanent Secretary Buleti Nsemukila reviewed that the provincial administration has lined up programs to empower young people with jobs, which will keep them busy and away from temptations of engaging in political violence.
As Luapula Province, next year's budget, we are focusing on the youths, particularly in terms of the communities. And we are saying we have come up with an initiative we are calling One Ward, One Cooperative Initiative. Targeting particularly the youths, because they have nothing else to do. They need the little resources for them to do things. For example, Zambian breweries makes Ego beer. Ego beer, they are making it from cassava. So there is now a market at a community level where the money is there for cassava by Zambian breweries. And the cuttings for cassava now taking, and thanks to our researchers, 1 year, 6 months, the cassava is ready. So why don't we help the youths organize themselves in cooperatives if the funds are there? And I'm sure if they have something better to do, why should they go and start fighting each other when they could do something and earn an income?
From Mansa, the team moved to the border town of Chiengi district. This is where the first public sitting in Luapula province was held.
Future election wafumako abantu abareitwata ama independent candidates.
In future,
bafumapo ama independent.
We should remove the independent candidate. They shouldn't stand in future.
Reason narangirefi echaishireta cause ama confusion abantu bafirwa nokuvota nokumfama message ama candidates bakwete waisafuma nenseri.
I say so because it's the reason why some people did not vote and others started insulting.
Abantu bakana nokumfwa
started insulting.
In Mwansabombe district, some petitioners accused traditional leaders in the area of practicing partisan politics. During the hearings, the commission repeatedly assured petitioners of utmost protection against victimization and any other form of abuse that may arise as a result of the evidence presented before the team against accused perpetrators of political violence and instigators of any other form of electoral malpractice. However, a petitioner who submitted evidence accusing Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe of getting involved in partisan politics was flogged by people believed to have allegedly been sent by the Mwata.
The police are still investigating, and no particular person has been identified as having been responsible for that intimidation. So as soon as we get a full report, we've been making follow-ups, and as soon as we get a full report from Mwansabombe, we'll notify you. At this stage, I wish to restate what I earlier said, that this commission of inquiry has been appointed by the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Edgar Lungu, and we are reporting directly to him. Therefore, anyone who acts in a manner that suggests that they are against what the commission is mandated to do, they are actually disrespecting the office of the President. And therefore, necessary action, once investigated and proven, appropriate action will be taken. This means action will not be deferred, but immediate action will be taken, depending on what will be found as having been done.
Some governance experts believe that this commission of the inquiry, like many other government programs, is an unimportant undertaking that needs to reach as many people as logistically possible. But over the years, people living on islands located on various water bodies in the country have been left out from national programs due to their inaccessibility. Lunga Island is one such island that has not received so much attention where the aforementioned is concerned. To access the island district, the delegation had to traverse the expansive waters that touch the skies on Lake Bangweolo. The speedboat ferrying commissioners, the media, and secretariat staff had to move on human dredge channels for about 2 hours. In Lunga district, Chief Kasomalunga expressed concern over the slow pace of development on the island compared to other areas that were declared districts at the same time as Lunga. The traditional leader noted that an even distribution of development, especially in rural areas, can influence the way people vote.
Bambi mpasira bubasha tabachitana ukamu nombe chitandana mababa pele batu wala kui na omene bafuile baba pele milanda ino district ine ndera dekshinga nechine batu washima kofie abatu pela ngayali pono kwisanga balisa abaneso bambi yali pono kupa ngati muone ngoko mwende na kumwansa bombo kuti balingana na kunu.
Still in Luapula, a number of petitioners in Chipili district gave accounts of the experience they had during the 2016 elections.
The people who are standing are those people who are very rich.
Abasungira fyolupia lonsha tinkaya aluposa.
Those who plan to use their money and bring confusion during the elections.
From Luapula, the team moved to Northern Province. Here, Paramount Chief Tim Kulu had an interaction with the commissioners. During the meeting, the traditional leader bemoaned the attitude of some chiefs in dealing with politics. The Bemba Paramount Chief accused traditional leaders have failed to play their role in reconciling politicians because of their failure to keep off partisan politics.
We have fundamentally failed, especially at this time, critical time, because we are supposed to bring these people up and say we talk to them. Now, if we openly come and say this is our son, this is our, that becomes very bad. We have done very badly, because we should be in a reconciliatory position. We know we support certain parties, but at least we should try to be neutral in the face of our subjects.
The commission held deliberations in 5 districts in the province. People from all walks of life turned up in numbers to submit their petitions.
The voting patterns, if the developments that we're taking to those areas are not focusing on their immediate needs, you find that they will be inclined towards supporting an opposition. So it doesn't matter who is there. As long as you are in the ruling party and you're not giving them what they need, you find it difficult.
During the campaigns, they should not be liquor present, or those political candidates, aspiring candidates, they should not use liquor to entice people or to distribute liquor for free, maybe soft drinks.
After Northern Province, the team seeking to work on proposals that will improve the quality of politics and elections in Zambia moved to Mchinga Province. Here, the Provincial Permanent Secretary, Bright Nundwe, made the passionate submissions where he proposed the amendment of the Constitution.
We have no control as government for the chiefs, but we have a pedigree of chiefs in this country that plainly practice politics in the regions, in the provinces. We need to get deeper into the Constitution and make significant changes so that those chiefs that are seen plainly practicing politics plainly should be gazetted. All of us that are seated here, even the commission itself that is here, you all belong to different political parties. But you don't show vividly in the public to say, I belong to this party. It's uncalled for.
But governance experts and political commentators are not for this idea. They feel such a move will be an infringement on royalty and traditional lineage establishments.
Why should the issue of being degazetted or gazetted, become by a public elected official? These traditional leaders, they are hereditary. It's an inheritance.
What is important is again to ensure that there is greater sensitization and awareness creation on the part of our traditional leaders on what is contained in the Electoral Code of Conduct and in the Electoral Act of the Republic of Zambia, so that they are made known that, look, if you take a partisan position in this country, you are going against what stakeholders have said should not happen.
And in recent times, Muchinga province has experienced some of the most infamous cases of political violence in the country. During the 2016 campaign period, a helicopter believed to have been carrying United Party for National Development UPND officials was attacked by people who are said to have been allegedly sent by Shiwangandu District Commissioner Evelyn Kangwa. This is according to evidence submitted to the commission by witnesses. But Ms. Kangwa refuted the allegations, saying that the negative tag of political violence associated with her district is championed by political leaders who are fond of insulting and demeaning government leaders.
Vemina part platform ichibarira potala first nisele first ngabaikata President winenga ni Edgar Lungu first ukutukana ukwambile fiekala number fidia at the end of the day nishmwala chita expect Malata expect violence ukuti itwalirire unless nga bafika fye baishtisha fye balanda fye bwino ngefyo bengalanda icho na chana nali mono kwe bati chali lengo okutira kuleba violence bantu kukutukira naye na wiso okusunga bwino bana intimidation again ya ichitike po incidence imo iyo kwaishire abantu na helicopter ya ishire landing akulya na kenye ba polisi nshake nyendeke abaishire mukupoka permission kuline ebo na kenye okulanda kaishwa baishire mukulomba. I refuse to conquer police as a district commissioner. We mean nako abana besuna community na government. Na liba Kenya na chao pamoja na disturb abana besukuru because na lishimwa kuti helicopter kuti landing apantu hapa liponse.
When deliberations were concluded in Muchinga province, the team headed to Eastern province. In Eastern province, people turned up in numbers to make proposals on how the management of elections can be improved.
Civil servants are supposed to remain non-partisan. Chiefs are supposed to remain non-partisan. There have been always a saying or a request from the chiefs, from the civil servants, that they are supposed to work with government of the day.
Constitutional fund that comes, instead of it being shared by chiefdoms who have developmental programs with them, it's just done haphazardly. I propose that it should be shared proportionately to chiefs, especially in rural areas.
And Paramount Chief Mupezeni of the Ngoni people also seized the opportunity to appeal to politicians to reconcile and start afresh.
Leo mkamenyana kufanya utinde izisira na kuti myambepo moyo wasopana. So hapo chani ngolawira kuya mazeni ma politician ya uta tieni tiambepo moyo wasopana ndio ila isire kuti apena mukapena ni politician kuti futi tika vote tikaona mne atakawina na atakaluze muzo mulungu sakonda munthu mmozi mulungu amakonda munthu aliyense. So olo ava macheni ava mene vanagwa asati valefuke.
The Commission of Inquiry into Voting Patterns and Electoral Violence held its last sitting of the second leg of tour of duty in Petauke district. Here, 4 Nsenga chiefs made an unprecedented appearance.
The government of the day is on the driving seat, and for us, if we are to do, we have no any other way apart from supporting them, so that we move together in the direction of development.
We don't have to look at their tribal inclination to say no, because this person is from this particular area, therefore we should not vote for him. I think this is what is killing us as a nation.
aliyotisanke kutende na kutawaniwa na vantu koma nite vantu amozi nzungu mwenye tonsa fipa tonse nite vantu amozi.
Voters should know that their vote is a valuable asset. They should only give it to a person deserving, to a person who can provide service to them.
And stakeholders have further called on the Commission to do its work objectively.
From a second point of view, we believe that there are clear practical steps that the Commission needs to undertake where issues of peace building, reconciliation and trauma healing are concerned, and that they must be very strong and aggressive on addressing those issues.
So we shouldn't be worried with what will be done by the report. We should be very concerned to getting answers. Whether the government of the day is going to act on the recommendations or not, the fact that a report will be published or be issued and it will be filed in public offices, it may not be acted today, but it will provide information either for the current government or the future government on how they are going to address such an issue should it arise.
The Commission of Inquiry into Voting Patterns and Electoral Violence was expected to conclude its work on November 30th, 2017. The team has not yet covered Central, Southern and Western provinces. The delay in covering the remaining 3 provinces has been attributed to delay in funding. This is where we come to the end of this week's edition of News in Depth, where we have been looking at factors that are surrounding the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry into Voting Patterns and Electoral Violence, as well as concerns over this commission from different stakeholders. As always, we value your viewership so much. Thank you for watching. I have been your host, Mansauso Mukwayaya. Pleasant viewing.